Hello and welcome back here, live from the Bella Center in Copenhagen at the ESOT 2019 Congress, where I'm now joined in this coffee break on a little bike tour through Copenhagen, a virtual bike tour, by ESOT's newly appointed CEO, Luca Segantini. Luca, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. We're biking along and I'm very curious to get to know you a little bit better. So let's start with the beginning. How did you become the new ESOT CEO? What journey led up to that?
It's a very long journey, actually. Like every executive director or CEO of an association, we come from such a different background. And mine in particular, I got a degree in veterinary medicine, and then I went through a very weird career. I started with a startup. I got into medical publishing. That's how I got into medicine. Then I went into communication. I had my own agency. Then I managed events. And then at one point I thought, oh, it would make sense to put together all these skills and expertise in something that does all these things: communication, events, publishing, right? And that's an association. So that's how I got into the International Society of Nephrology, where I was executive director for 10 years. Mm-hmm. And it was a fantastic experience. It's a global society, so I got to travel to Vancouver, Cape Town, Melbourne, sometimes in the same month. And after 10 years of managing this association and developing the association, I felt I was only managing a team of 36, doing HR, doing finance, and I thought, what I really like is to put my hands into projects. And so I resigned for ISN, and after 2 months I got a call saying, Luca, the previous CEO of ESOT, Annalisa, is leaving. Why don't you consider coming over? And that's how we started.
Wow. A very rich and diverse background. Mm-hmm. Already nephrology, somewhat related to this field. However, I guess people in the transplantation field would say, well, that's just one organ. What is it like coming from a more specialized field to this very broad community?
I was very surprised when I came in because, as you say, there is some connection. I knew some of the people, but for me, it's a completely new experience. And I was surprised to see that compared to nephrology, which is a very traditional specialty where nothing really new happened after dialysis about 40 years ago, it's a little bit of the same thing. Here, there is innovation, there is incredible energy. Despite the fact that there are not many new drugs, there are technologies, there is a spirit of innovation that I really like, and I really want to learn from to put even more innovation in what we do as an association.
Interesting. What is your wish when you look forward and now you have your hands on the wheel? What is your wish for the community?
I certainly have many wishes, and I hope to be able to put at least a couple of them in practice in a couple of years. And it's fantastic to see that my wishes, when I came in, really coincide with the president's and the leadership wishes. So we want to build an even more inclusive ESOT community by really including everyone, not just surgeons and physicians, but we really want to open it up to everyone who is contributing to the transplant success, coordinators, nurses, allied professionals, dietitians, and most importantly, patients, right? Everybody talks about empowering patients, giving them an input into clinical trials and into decisions, but we want to really do it.
Interesting.
So that would be the main thing. If we can make that happen while continuing all this innovation and all these wonderful congresses here that we do and research projects, that would be a good achievement, I think.
Wow, so sounds like something wonderful to look forward to. Thank you for sharing that. Now, this just a first get to know you. Mm-hmm. For those people who watch this who are actually physically in Copenhagen, I understand tomorrow morning there is a 8:45, there's a meet and greet with you. Where can people find you that day?
Yeah, I will be at the online education table in the middle of the exhibition near the ESOT booth. So if you want to get to know me, I'll be very, very pleased to shake hands.
Perfect. Yep. If you miss that opportunity, obviously you can always send an email to executive@esot.org, right?
And we'll see at some ESOT events.
Great. Well, thanks for sharing this bike ride with me. Very nice to meet you. And as Luca says, this community is very innovative. There's a very innovative spirit. And what is happening here at Congress is that the innovative spirit is even leveraged more by a new award. the Leonardo Davinci Award. And earlier I met up with Vasilios Papalois and Luca Totti to figure out what that award is all about.
Any international congress has got these awards, but we try to find out something new.
We never had the one award that will be the ultimate prize, if you wish, the Nobel Prize of Transplantation in Europe and beyond, that will attract to the ESOT Congress the best work being done across the world in the field of innovation and research in transplantation. Recognize that, trumpet that, and use it as motivation for other colleagues to engage in the field of transplantation. The establishment of the Leonardo da Vinci Award serves exactly that purpose.
There is nothing better than Leonardo da Vinci. He's a sculptor, he's a painter, he's a scientist, he's an architect, he's everything. We choose this name because we want to focus how the transplant professional people can cover many fields.
Leonardo da Vinci is Europe. Leonardo da Vinci was one of the greatest artists, the greatest innovators of all times. And this is the message we want to send.
We try to find out the 10 best abstracts.
After a lengthy process with the initial scoring of all the work that was submitted to the Congress and another filtering by the Scientific Program Committee, another filtering by the organizing executive, and finally another filter by distinguished editors of scientific journals, we will have the finalists, and those abstracts and this work is going to be presented in this great session.
And people in the audience will be a part of the judge, and they will be voting for giving the best abstract.
And I'm truly looking forward to this session that will define the future of the ESOT Congress.
Yes, and we're still here live at the Bella Center at ESOT 2019 Congress during the coffee break, riding our bikes through Copenhagen. And if you're just tuning in, you can be witnessing the Leonardo da Vinci Award ceremony, which is about to start in 10 minutes. If you hop over from YouTube and Facebook towards ESOT's educational platform, Transplant Life, which is at esottransplantlife.org. But let me introduce my new companion here on the bike, and actually this setting is very suitable. Dieter Banlieue from Leuven in Belgium, one of the founders of Transplant2, and you and a few of your team members were bicycling from Belgium to the Copenhagen Congress. We'll get to that in a minute. What is the background story of your Transplant2 initiative?
Well, in 2006, I met a patient on the clinic who was in need for a kidney transplantation, and he asked me if he could do before and after transplantation, if he could climb the Mont Ventoux, which is a famous mountain in the south of France.
Yeah, big cycling challenge.
Absolutely. And I thought, yes, you can. And you know what? After your transplantation, I'll join you. At the same time, we had our 10th anniversary of our unit, and we invited Patricia Painter, who really did a lot of work, pioneering work on exercise and after transplantation, and I was really inspired by those two. So we started climbing Mont Ventoux, and we've been back ever since.
All right, and since that time, for 10 years now, you have been climbing with a big group. I think we have a photo of the 2019 group. Let's see if we can see that on the image. Yes, yeah. There you are. How many people joined you this year?
This year we went to the Mont Ventoux with almost 300 people. But let me tell you that this is our flagship. We learned that this is an event. It's nice to have an event, but it does not give you a sustainable physical activity. So you need to stimulate them all the time. Same for us. You need a purpose, something to do, to work to, but on the other hand, you need to stimulate them all the time. So we really made a community, and we really started a campaign to keep on moving.
Exactly, because that's the key purpose, to get... Is it specifically focused on transplant recipients, or is it broader by now?
Well, it's broader. I mean, we have all stakeholders involved. Of course, in the center are the transplant recipients, but we also invite all their family, their friends with them, because if you be active in a community, it's better for the sustainability. We also have medical personnel that's involved. We have volunteers, sponsors, and also donor families or life donors that join us. So it's becoming a big community now.
So basically this initiative has allowed you to kind of create momentum and nudge transplantation recipients and their community to a healthier lifestyle.
Absolutely, and I have a strong feeling that this will become the machine perfusion hype, to say so, in a few years' time.
Yeah, because then obviously we're in a scientific congress.
Absolutely.
Are you doing any science-driven research into
Absolutely, that's what we are promoting, and we have four purposes. First is create awareness, which is important. Second, motivate the recipients to be active, and third is also the scientific input. So we try to do research, but we also create a platform, and we actually have created a symposium around this whole physical activity, and that symposium is called Time to Move, because that's what we feel. We should move and keep on moving.
Now, I would say the healthier lifestyle seems to be a big trend throughout society.
Absolutely.
Where or what are the specific challenges or elements of doing this in a donor-recipient community?
I think the first thing is the awareness, to know that there are benefits and to prescribe it. Because
but that's for everyone, right?
That's for everyone.
Whether you're a patient or not.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I think raising awareness on this subject amongst transplant physicians is the first. We also should understand what are the facilitators and barriers, because it's so easy to prescribe, but we don't do it. So why is that? So that's a challenge there.
Aha, so you say we prescribe it as a therapy, but then now actually you as a doctor are leading by example, so to speak, right? Yeah.
Exactly. That's why I also personally then I practice what I preach. Exactly. And it motivates me enormously.
Well, let's zoom in on that, because after 10, 11 years of going to the Van Toe, you guys decided you wanted to come to Copenhagen. Take me back to the moment. Who was it that said, shall we jump on a bike?
It was my crazy idea, in fact, and I love crazy ideas. And also my children were very proud of me, because I would really reduce my carbon footprint as well. So back theme as well. So in the end, it all comes together.
Of the four of you who joined you, tell us, who do we see here?
Okay, well, we have Mark. Mark is a liver transplant recipient. Then it's me and Stefan. Stefan is our scientific coordinator. I have 2.5 people that, 2.5 full-time equivalents that work for us. And the right is one of our volunteers, Johan, and Johan is actually the employer of Mark. And they were there from the beginning, and so they looked after us as two fathers, so that we had food and rest. They followed us with the camper, so there is a little carbon footprint.
Every now a break. Yeah. And what day did you? How far is it?
In total, it is almost 900 kilometers, so 600 miles. And we started off last Tuesday, and we cycled about 220 kilometers a day. And the last day was a bit more tricky, because we had also to cross the water from the north of Germany to Denmark, and then there was another 150k here in Denmark.
All right, and how did it go on the route? Any adventures?
It was a fabulous experience. It was a fabulous experience. I could do a little, being an academic or an academic, I did a little observational study between the cycling paths, comparing, for example, Belgium, the Netherlands, Germany, Denmark, all those things. So it was great. In fact, the guy that was the inspirator for Transplant 2 created the routes. So it was back to the roots, and he did a great job. And it's great to be outside, even if it's a bit raining or a bit chilly. It's a great feeling.
And physical, did you all come out well? How is it to be back on the bike here now?
I love it.
Yeah,
I just love it.
Very great. All right, well, great story. Thanks for sharing. Let's sum up and get some takeaways for the general audience. You already mentioned, you think healthier lifestyles should be standard therapy?
I think that the introduction of physical activity should be initiated as soon as possible after transplantation, in order that people use their muscles. It's also a tool to prevent some of the complications that they go through. It's also a way for them to show gratitude to their donor, and it also brings people together. That's why it's called Transplant 2 Connected for Life. It brings everything together. It's becoming a community, and I'm very proud to be here.
Yeah.
So thank you, ESOT, for having us.
Yes, of course. And then the second takeaway, I guess, is that when people say, okay, I'm going to do this, but as a doctor, you should lead by example, right?
Exactly, and what I can also proudly announce is that we have, if you want to know more about it, we have a symposium
Yes.
on that
When
workshop.
is that? Where can
Next
people
year,
find it?
7th and 8th of February in Leuven, there is the Time to Move Symposium with state-of-the-art lectures, abstracts, and also workshops, really hands-on.
Aimed for healthcare professionals.
For all healthcare professionals that work with transplant recipients.
Perfect, very interesting. Well, Dieter, thank you very much for sharing this story.
It's great.
It's a remarkable story, and thank you very much for joining us on that as well. Well, I can tell you this ESOT 2019 Congress is full of remarkable stories, and we just captured this one leading into the Congress. I can tell you tomorrow, on the 3rd day of this Congress here, we're going to do something remarkable as well, also related to a place far, far away. Let's look at the promo. Imagine what could happen if we can match the most inspiring minds in transplantation with the incredible drive for change in Silicon Valley. On the 3rd day of the ESOT 2019 Congress here in Copenhagen, we're going to make an attempt to truly connect the global transplantation community. At that moment, in the early morning, there will be a meeting at the Stanford University School of Medicine, together with a meeting here at ESOT Congress in Copenhagen. We will connect those two meetings virtually, and we will have speakers in Stanford talking to an audience in Copenhagen. And all of this will be broadcasted live right here on Transplant Life. So you should make sure that you're a part of that as well. The meeting is titled Using Research as an Agent for Change, and we will learn how you can use the latest insights and results and use them to make an even greater impact on society. So make sure you set a reminder, an alarm, and invite all your friends and colleagues to join us virtually right here at Transplant Live on Tuesday, September 17th, 6:30 Copenhagen time. All right, and with that, we near the end of the coffee break. If you've just discovered this on YouTube or Facebook, let me explain to you how you can stay with us for 24 hours a day. So it doesn't matter where you are in the world and which time zone you are, you can always get the best content from the ESOT 2019 Congress here in Copenhagen. The only thing you need to do is hop over to ESOT's educational platform, Transplant Life, and you do that by typing into your browser esottransplantlife.org. If you're already a member there, you just log in and you find the Livestream page and you'll be with us. You keep your page open, you'll be with us for the next 3 days, 24 hours. If you're new there, you go to a quickly sign-up process, you register for Transplant Life, you have full access to all the available resources throughout the years, and even better, you can claim your CME credits, your permanent education credits, for participating online. So if you haven't done so already, I invite you to really do that now. Because those viewers on Transplant Live, what can you expect in the next few hours? Well, first of all, we're going to take you straight into the main plenary hall where the ESOT Leonardo Davinci Awards will be handed out. Well, the beauty is, it's not known yet who the winner will be. So if you join us live for that session, you'll be the first to know who wins it. The fact is, 5 remarkable papers have been selected out of the huge amount of papers submitted to the Congress. They have been processed by a jury of 5 of the biggest, or the most important journals, the editors of the most important journals here on site. These editors will introduce the different abstracts here on stage. Then you will get a short presentation by Naomi Lee, presentation by, a presentation by Sushma Shankar from the UK, a presentation by François Jouret, a presentation by Emily Thompson and Lorenzo Orci. Those are the 5 finalists for the ESOT Leonardo Davinci Award. Then the judges and the audience will determine together during this session in the next 2 hours who will actually win the award. And the winner will not only get lifetime bragging rights for winning the first inaugural Leonardo da Vinci Award, but also receive an amount of 10,000 euros free to spend. So there's really something at stake here. So please join that. After that session, we'll do a rebroadcast of the first plenary session that's kick-started here today, and that was with 3 remarkable Danish speakers that you should follow. Eske Willerslev, the biggest keynote speaker of Denmark, and that whole session is about what we can learn from our genome and how far we are in editing and influencing our genome, and actually what that means. The third speaker is a philosopher, science philosopher. What does that mean for our future? So that will be on during the lunch break. And then around 2 o'clock, we'll go live back into plenary 2, which is all about single-cell omics, generating an atlas to chart our transplant organs. Because the better we understand what exactly happens inside each organ, the better we can create one of the key things that are being discussed here, the organ reconditioning and perfusion phase that is now possible with all the new technology coming aboard. Yesterday I was chatting to Stefan Sneeberger, ESOT's current president, and he has identified this as one of the main groundbreaking developments in the field of transplantation. Before, there was always the time pressure. When the organ can be procured, you never knew when an organ would be on offer, and then it had to go into the recipient as quick as possible. Well, maybe now we enter a new era where we can actually preserve, recondition, improve organs for a time as long as we might want before they can go into a donor. So there's a lot of benefits coming up, and this session will go into how far we are to really understanding the specifics happening inside the organs that we need to know before we can actually enter into this phase. So that's the plenary session number 2. It's chaired by Menna Clatworthy, and after that session, Menna will join me live here in the studio, and we'll reflect a little bit with her both on her session and in general about what it's like to be here at the Congress. By the way, that tea break session will be live here on Facebook and YouTube again. So if you're not yet hopped over to ESOT Transplant Life, make sure you hang around on Facebook and YouTube and take that recording as well. Second part of the afternoon, we will broadcast an interesting session. There's a new session type here in the Congress, which is called Inspire and Drive. And those sessions are not so much specifically focused on the scientific developments in transplantation, but much more on the developments of being a transplantation professional. What does that mean? How do you stay healthy and fit? Not physically, well, both physically, but also mentally, because it's strenuous work. It's hard to balance your life and work, and where do you find the energy? How do you manage your work-life balance? But also, what can more senior transplantation professionals do to mentor the younger professionals in our field to make sure they have a prosperous career as well? And the specific session that we look into this afternoon is called Evidence-Based Practice. Is killing the art of medicine, and it will go into the dynamics of being innovative and trying out stuff that's never been done before, versus obviously the ethical concerns of trying out stuff when you're working in the field of medicine, and you should actually do stuff on a evidence-based practice way as well. And then later, we close the day with a live stream from the Refresher 3 session. Refresher means these are topics that have been covered on ESOT congresses before. You might remember, both in Brussels and Barcelona, big data. Dori Segev, great talk, was a big topic. And we will go in Refresher 3, really relight the topic of big data. So, that's what's coming up. If you want to stay with us throughout the day, hop over to esottransplantlife.org. We're going to close the Facebook and YouTube live stream and take you into the ESOT Leonardo Da Vinci Awards.
New concept of a session. So basically what we're going to do during this session is have 5 presentations of outstanding scientific work that will be introduced, but also